Hello everyone, I am Sania Asif and you are watching my channel Easy Learning with Sania. So on today's onwards, I am going to start a new series which is named as Principles of Economics. And this series will go parallel to the series which is still on continue mode named as Financial Derivatives. Okay, so in this particular video, we will try to understand the meaning of economics in the light of definitions given by different economists and their criticism too. Okay, so we have a 4 definition given by different economists. We have a definition given by Adam Smith. On number 2 we have a definition given by Alfred Marshall. On number 3 we have a definition given by Lord Robbins. On number 4, last but not the least, we have a definition given by Paul A. Samuelson. Okay, so let's move the discussion. Okay, on the next slide we have a definition given by Adam Smith. Okay, so this is a definition given by Adam Smith, and this definition is also called as wealth definition, or you can say wealth centered definition, because this definition is also called as wealth centered definition. And you know what, this kind of questions usually ask in competitive examinations. Okay, if they can ask about the well-centered definition, or they can ask you that who has given a well-centered definition, so you can mention a name, Adam Smith. Okay, so let's have a look on the definition. Okay, so this is the definition given by Adam Smith. Adam Smith was considered as a father of economics or founder of economics too, because before Adam Smith there was no subject of economics, or you can say nobody was aware with the subject of economics. So in his book An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of Wealth of a Nation, okay, which he was written in 1976, in his book he defined economics as: economics is the inquiry into the factors that determine the wealth of a country and its growth. Okay, so he said economics is the inquiry. In economics we do an inquiry into all those factors which are responsible or which determine the wealth of a country and its growth. Okay, so his definition was very confined or very limited to the wealth only. He didn't talk about the welfare, and that is why his definition was criticized by other economists. Okay, so we will look into the criticism which was made by other economists. We have a 4 criticism made by other economists. We will try to understand one by one each one of them. Too much importance to wealth. It means that Adam Smith talks about wealth only. He didn't talk about the welfare. Okay, he didn't talk about the welfare. He didn't talk about the welfare. Yes, this is right. Narrow meaning of wealth, because in his perspective wealth means something related to money only, or something related to monetary aspects only, because he didn't talk about the non-monetary aspects, which is very confined in the perspective or in the view of other economists. Concept of economic man means he considers man as an economic man. According to him, man is only designed for the economic activities, and we know what are the economic activities. Economic activities are production of goods and services, okay, consumption of goods and services, and distribution of goods and services. Production of goods and services, consumption of goods and services, and distribution of goods and services. So he just talk about only three perspective, or he just talk about three things only. So according to him, the man is only designed for these three purposes, which is not right, because man is not only designed for these three purposes. Man has some personal needs also. Okay, so if you want any country to be in a growth position, so welfare is also important. Ignore welfare, human welfare. Okay, so this definition didn't talk about the human welfare. That is why this definition was criticized by other economists. He didn't talk about the human welfare. Okay, because human welfare is not just related with the consumption, production and distribution. Okay, human welfare is related with the, you can say, employment. Human welfare is related with the, you can say, it also depends on how the people are living in the society. Okay, and how the people are approaching towards each and other in the society. Okay, so let's move on to the next step, slide. So on the next slide we have a definition given by Alfred Marshall definition. This definition is also called as material welfare definition, because this definition was focused or centered on material welfare only, which was again the drawback of this definition. The drawback of this definition was because this definition was only focused on material welfare. Okay, so let's discuss the definition. Okay, so this is the definition. Alfred Marshall, in his book Principles of Economics, okay, and yes, the series is also going on, Principles of Economics. Okay, so published in 1890, has defined economics in three terms. So he defined economics in just three terms. According to him, economics is the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. Means he said that in economics we study about the mankind in the ordinary business of life. Means how a particular man involves in a business, or how a particular man complete or do his activities in a particular business in which he involves. It examines that part of individual and social action which is most intimately connected with the attainment and use of material requisites of well-being. So he talks about welfare, but he only talks about material welfare. Means he said whatever the human being do in a business, the only motto of doing activities is to have a welfare in their life. Okay, is to have a material welfare in their life. Okay, so because he didn't talk about the wealth, okay, he didn't talk about the non-material aspects, so again his definition was criticized by other economists. Okay, so here we have a 4 criticism. In economics we study immaterial things also. Okay, so in economics, other economics made a criticism that in economics we study immaterial things also. We study some immaterial things also. We cannot the welfare is not just attached with the material things only. The welfare is attached with the immaterial things also. Okay, welfare cannot be measured in the terms of money only, because you know what, he just talk about material welfare. Material welfare means the welfare you can, material welfare is a welfare that you can measure in terms of money, but actually this is not right, because he separated the welfare into two parts. He separated the welfare into two parts, material welfare and non-material welfare, which is not right, because you know what, welfare is like you can say qualitative term. Okay, it is not like quantitative term. You cannot measure the welfare in terms of money. Okay, on number 3, welfare definition makes economics purely social science. Okay, this definition makes economics purely social science, and purely social science means in social science we talks about the behavior of human beings, okay, at social level. Yes, so he talks about economics purely as a social science, which is not right, because in case of economics we not only talk about human behavior, we talk about more than that. Okay, we talk about growth, you know. So that is why this definition was again discarded, or you can say criticized by other economists. And yes, on number 4, the concept of welfare is different in different countries, and at different time. Okay, the concept of welfare is different in different countries, definitely. You know what, the concept of welfare is different because in one country the welfare can be, you can say, can be measured in terms of, you can say, in terms of just, you can say, employment. But in other country the welfare can be measured in terms of, you can say, the happiness of the people. How the people are, how much the people are happy in a particular country. Okay, and we measure the happiness also in happiness index. Okay, so you know what, the welfare is depend on country to country. Okay, so okay, so on this slide we have a definition given by Lord Robbins definition, and this definition is also called as scarcity definition. Okay, so because in this definition we are talking about scarcity. Okay, so that is why it is called as scarcity definition. Okay, so Lord Robbins in his book An Essay on Nature and Significance of Science, published in, yes, this is the name of the book, which was published in 1932, and he has defined economics in these terms. Okay, so he has defined economics as, economics is a science that studies human behavior, as a relationship between ants and scare means, which have alternative uses. Means he talks about ants. Ants means wants. And you know what, we all know wants are like unlimited. Wants are like unlimited. Okay, so wants are like unlimited, and we have a resources which are scarce. Scarce means limited. Resources are always limited. If you talk about the money, we all have limited amount of money in our pockets or in our bank accounts. Limited. Okay, so resources are always limited. Okay, and wants are always unlimited. Yes, resources are always limited and wants are unlimited. But yes, he's talking about means human behavior. He's talking about that how to use your resources, your limited resources, how to use your limited resources in such a manner so that you can maximize your satisfaction. Okay, you can maximize your satisfaction, and how to put your resources into alternative uses. Okay, it's fine. So he talks about the scarcity of resources. He's talking about, we know that we have scarce resources, but human behavior, or you can say he's talking about, how human beings should choose a particular commodity in such a manner so that he spend less amount or maximize the satisfaction. Okay, and he can put his resources into a multiple uses. Like if you take example of money can be used for buying a number of commodities. You can buy an apple from the money, you can buy you can buy any other thing from money with the help of money. So he's talking about scarcity, means he's talking about resources are scarce, and we have to be aware with this thing. Okay, so let's have a criticism. So this definition is again like criticized by other economists on some grounds. Let's try to understand one by one. The definition is impractical and difficult to put into practical approach, right? You know what, the definition is very impractical, because you know what, it's easy to say that use your scarce resources, use your limited resources in such a manner so that you can maximize your maximize your satisfaction, or put your resources in the alternative uses. But we can take an example of money in this case, but we cannot take an example of any other thing in this case easily. So that is why this definition is like, you can say, impractical and difficult to put into practical approach. Okay, it has narrow and restricted in scope. Yes, definitely the scope, or you can say the use of the definition is very restricted means limited. Okay, it fails to cover the theory of economic growth. Yes, definitely here Lord Robbins didn't talk about the economic growth, economic development. You know what, you are just talking about the scarcity, you are not talking about the wealth, you are not talking about the welfare, you are not talking about the economic growth, development, so how can your definition can be considered as a as a good definition? So that is why again you can say his definition was you can say criticized by other economists on the grounds. Yes. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the welfare. Okay, so he didn't talk about the welfare of a man. This definition makes economics a human science. Okay, he just he made economics as a human science, means how to choose a particular commodity, or how to choose a thing so that you can maximize your satisfaction and put your resources into alternative uses. So it's talking about human behavior, means how to choose a particular commodity. So it is not right, you can say it is not up to the mark. Okay, it is not like very, you can say it is not possible to do. On paper it's right, but it's not possible to put into practical approach. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so here we have a last definition given by Puel A. Samuelson definition. Okay, and this definition you must be waiting for the complete definition, and this is the complete definition. Okay, so on this slide we have a definition given by Puel A. Samuelson definition, which is also called as growth definition. Okay, so this definition is given by Puel A. Samuelson. So let's have a look on the definition. Okay, so this is the definition given by Puel A. Samuelson. According to him, economics is the study of how people and society ends up choosing, with or without the use of money, to employ scarce production resources, okay, that could have alternative uses, to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now or in the future. So he talks about, you can say he talks about people, he talks about society. Okay, and he talks about alternative uses, he talks about scarce resources. Definitely it's right that we have a scarce resources, it's right, and this is also right that we should use our scarce resources in such a manner so that we can maximize our satisfaction, okay, and minimize our expenses. Okay, so among in the future, among various persons and group in the society, it analyzes cost and benefits of improving pattern of resource allocation. Means he said resource allocation means how to allocate your resources. Okay, how to allocate your resources in such a manner so that you can maximize your satisfaction, minimize your expenses. Okay, and how to put your resources in alternative uses. Okay, which is also again an important point. So this definition is called about, this definition is talk about wealth, talk about welfare, okay, talk about scarcity of resources. So this definition is considered as a complete definition, and that is why this definition is uh, called as growth definition, okay, because this definition is talking about the growth also, consumption now and consumption in future, okay. So this is also again the important point of the definition. So let's understand the second point, okay. So this definition, actually try to understand this point. This definition combines the essential elements of the definition by Marshall and Robbins, because we know that Marshall talks about the welfare and Robbins talk about the scarcity of resources. So in this definition, Puhle talking about the scarcity of resources and welfare also, you can say, yeah, welfare also, because he's talking about study of how people in society end up choosing resources, end up choosing, okay. So according to economics is concerned with efficient allocation of resources. Yeah, efficient allocation of resources leads to growth, definitely, because efficient allocation of resources means how to allocate your resources in such a manner so that you maximize your satisfaction and minimize your expenses, okay, because these things leads to the growth of a country. Use and increase, yes, use of scarce means as a result of which economic growth, okay, and increase social welfare, definitely it's all leads to social welfare, okay. And this the definition has been accepted, and this definition is accepted universally, okay. In short, you can say the growth definition of economics is most comprehensive. Comprehensive means something which includes everything, okay, something which includes everything, everything, includes everything, something which includes everything, okay, that is the meaning of comprehensive, okay. So let's wind up the discussion, okay. So at last I just want to say one thing to all of you. Thanks for watching my video. Please do like, share and subscribe my channel, okay. Thank you very much.